Last month's Old Firm didn't just end with 3 points, it ended with fireworks drama and a storm of headlines that are still echoing around Glasgow. Rangers snatched a massive win right in the Lions' den at Celtic Park thanks to a late dramatic goal from Hamza Yigerman. But while the celebrations kicked off in the away end, one moment in particular sparked outrage and nearly spiraled into something much bigger than just football. Vaclav Cerny, on loan and already starting to build a name for himself at Ibrox, was caught in the middle of it all. In the middle of those wild celebrations, as players rushed toward the traveling support, Cerny turned toward the home fans and sprayed water in their direction. Now, depending on who you ask, it was either harmless fun or a deliberate provocation. But what's not up for debate is the reaction it triggered. Celtic fans were furious, and before long the incident was being discussed far beyond the pitch, with talk of police involvement and even disciplinary measures. Well, now we've got a proper update on the situation. Police Scotland have officially concluded their investigation into the Czech winger's antics. And the verdict, no criminal charges. That's right. After carrying out inquiries and speaking with the club, the authorities confirmed that no further action would be taken. They stated there was no criminality established and that officers had engaged with the club and issued advice. So for now, it looks like Cerny can breathe a bit easier, though the incident has certainly left its mark and added more fuel to one of the fiercest rivalries in football. But that's not all that's been happening in the world of Rangers lately. There's been a real shift in the atmosphere around the club, especially since Barry Ferguson stepped in to steady the ship. And if you ask former striker Nacho Novo, things have improved dramatically since the change in management. In his words, life under Philippe Clement had started to feel like prison for the players. Long training sessions, no days off, and a rigid regime that left little room for creativity or joy. Novo revealed that the players were stuck in a routine that simply didn't suit them. According to him, they weren't even allowed to play five-a-sides in training and tackling during sessions. Was a no-go. Imagine trying to prepare for the intensity of a domestic match without being allowed to make tackles in training. It just doesn't make sense. And Novo clearly believes it was holding the team back. Since Barry took over, though, things have taken a turn. Players are getting days off again. They've been given time to spend with their families, including a full week during the international break. Something that might seem small but makes a world of difference in team morale. And it's not just about the time off. It's about the entire vibe around the training ground. The players are enjoying their football again. They're working hard, but they're also smiling while doing it. And that's showing on the pitch. Novo didn't stop there either. He went on to say that Barry isn't just a former player trying to do his best. He's proving himself as a serious manager, backed up by a coaching team that includes Neil McCann and Billy Dodds Ferguson, is surrounded by people who know the game inside and out. And according to Novo, the club should give him a full year to show what he can really do. He might not be the flashy big-name boss some were calling for, but sometimes the best option is someone who truly understands the club from the inside out. Now, as if that wasn't enough to chew on, there's also been major movement behind the scenes, especially with the potential takeover of Rangers by the American group backed by 49ers Enterprises. One name that keeps popping up in all this is Gretars Steinsson, who's expected to play a major role in the club's future. While he won't be stepping into a traditional sporting director role at Ibrox, make no mistake, his influence will be significant. Steinsson, a former Icelandic international, has built a solid reputation across European football circles, both as a player and in executive roles. After hanging up his boots in 2013, he threw himself into the world of football, operations, studying management under Dutch legend Louis van Gaal, and earning technical qualifications. His resume includes stints at Fleetwood Town, Everton, Spurs, and even AZ Alkmaar, not to mention his current role with the 49ers football division. Recently, he's been bouncing back and forth between the UK and the US, attending Rangers games, alongside fellow 49ers figure Andrew Cavalick, who's also deeply involved in the club's potential new ownership. They were there for the Old Firm win, they've been seen at training grounds, and they've started referring to Rangers as "we" in conversations. That says a lot. This isn't just a passive investment, it's something deeper. From what we know, Steinsson will continue his broader role within the 49ers, overseeing football strategy and talent identification while keeping a close eye on Rangers operations. He's seen as a straight-talking, no-nonsense figure, highly respected by his colleagues in the NFL and football circles alike. And while he won't be the face of the takeover like Parag Maratha, who's only made one public appearance at a Rangers match so far, Steinson and Kavalek are the ones doing the day-to-day groundwork. One source close to the deal even mentioned that these guys don't talk business until business is done. That's the kind of mindset Steinson operates with. Focused, strategic, and quiet until the moment's right. And with all the legal paperwork moving forward steadily, since March, we might not be too far off from seeing this American takeover become official. Back on the pitch, the atmosphere has shifted. You can feel it. The team's performances have picked up, the fans are buzzing again, and there's a sense that something bigger might be brewing. Not just short-term form, but long-term vision. With Barry Ferguson steering the ship for now, and the possibility of a new leadership model taking shape in the boardroom, this feels like a moment where the club is standing on the edge of something significant. And as the winds of change blow through Ibrox, it's not just the men in suits who are making headlines. The players themselves under this new regime have started showing signs of transformation. You look at the way they carry themselves now. There's belief again, hunger, unity. Before, there was this sense of rigid structure that kept them boxed in. But now there's movement, there's life, and most importantly, there's results. Under Philippe Clement, things had become mechanical. 3-hour training sessions, little to no time off, and a strict approach that might have worked in Europe, but in Scottish football, that kind of system can drain the soul out of a team. Rangers needed more than tactics. They needed spirit. They needed someone who understood what it means to wear that shirt to fight for the badge, not just with your feet, but with your heart. And Barry Ferguson, love him or not, brings exactly that energy. The change in training methods has been clear. Players now feel they have a voice. The rigid no tackling rules are gone. Five-a-sides are back on the menu. Training's still intense, but it's football focused, not a military boot camp. That shift alone has lifted spirits inside the dressing room. The squad isn't just reacting to orders, they're responding to a vision that's rooted in experience and passion, and in knowing what it takes to win titles in Scotland. Even the old guard, names like McCann and Dodds, have come in to add stability and guidance. It's a team of people who know the club, who understand the unique pressure that comes with being part of Rangers. That kind of insight can be taught. It has to be lived. And these guys, they've lived it. They've bled for this club. And now they're trying to build something lasting. Of course, none of this guarantees silverware. But what it does is create an environment where players can thrive. And thrive they have. From young prospects stepping up to senior players rediscovering form. The shift has been palpable. Fans are starting to believe again, not just in the team on the pitch, but in the people steering the ship off it. Now, speaking of steering the ship, the involvement of the 49ers enterprises continues to make waves. It's not every day you see American investment groups turning their focus to Scottish football. But the difference here is that this isn't some faceless corporate move. The people involved, Steinson, Kavalek, and others, have been boots on the ground. They've shown up, they've sat in the stands, and they've walked the halls of the training ground. The long-term goal is clear: to modernize the club's structure while respecting its traditions. That's a fine balance to strike, but Steinson's background suggests he's more than capable of navigating that tightrope. He's not just a numbers guy or a spreadsheet executive. He's someone who's seen the game from both sides, as a player under pressure and as a director making tough calls behind the scenes. At Leeds, his role evolved post-relegation, where he helped restructure football operations alongside key figures like Nick Hammond and Angus Kinnear. It wasn't about flashy signings or gimmicks. It was about rebuilding smartly with a focus on structured scouting and player development. If that's the same blueprint he's planning to bring to Ibrox, then Rangers could be on the cusp of a new era, one where they're not just reacting to rivals, but setting the pace themselves. And make no mistake, this potential takeover isn't just a business transaction. It's the laying of foundations. The 49ers aren't just here to pump in cash and hope for the best. They're football people, even if they come from a different sporting background. Their approach is analytical, methodical, and deeply rooted in performance culture. They want results, yes, but they also want sustainability, legacy, and growth. For fans, it might be hard to get excited about things like executive roles, boardroom meetings, and takeover clauses. But behind every successful football club is a solid structure. And right now, Rangers are building one, slowly, quietly, but with intent. The presence of Steinson, a respected figure with connections across Europe, is a signal that this isn't a vanity project. It's real, it's serious, and it could redefine the future of the club. Even now, insiders say that while formal staff meetings haven't yet taken place, the groundwork is being laid. Tours of the training ground, informal chats, getting a feel for the culture, all of that matters. And both Steinson and Kavalek have reportedly taken a real liking to the place. The way they talk about the club, the way they're already using our "we" when referring to Rangers, that's not PR spin. That's emotional investment. It's also worth noting that despite not holding an official title yet, at Ibrox Steinson's influence is already being felt. From offering advice on infrastructure to helping evaluate recruitment processes, his voice carries weight. He's not here to take over roles from people like Nils Koppen, but to complement and empower them, especially in areas where decision-making needs to be more collaborative and aligned with long-term strategy. And that's where Rangers might finally be turning a corner. In recent years, there's been a bit of confusion about structure. Who makes the final call on signings? Who shapes the academy path? Who decides how the first team and recruitment teams interact? Those are the kinds of questions that cripple a club if they go unanswered. But now with clearer roles emerging and with people like Ferguson and Steinson showing leadership in their own lanes, the fog seems to be lifting. Of course, time will tell if all of this translates into trophies. That's the currency that matters most in Glasgow. But what fans can take comfort in is the sense that for the first time in a while there's a plan, there's a direction, and whether it's the boys on the pitch fighting for every ball or the people behind the scenes laying bricks for the future, everyone seems to be pulling in the same direction. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. In a dramatic twist on Saturday, Rangers staged an astonishing comeback against Dundee, defying the odds and erasing a 2-goal deficit to snatch a thrilling 3-2 victory. With the clock ticking down, Cyril Desires delivered the heart-stopping winner in stoppage time, sparking wild celebrations. But while the result was a triumph, the performance left Barry Ferguson far from content. Down 3-1 with just 15 minutes to go, Rangers seemed destined for defeat. But the heart of the team, led by the unwavering captain James Tavernier and a determined Tom Lawrence, refused to accept defeat. Tavernier's powerful strike from distance and Lawrence's timely equalizer lifted the spirits of the supporters, yet Ferguson could not shake the feeling that the team's flaws had been laid bare. Yes, we won, but I can't say I'm happy with how we played, Ferguson confessed after the match. We showed grit, we fought until the end, but too many old habits crept in. When Tavernier scored to make it 3-2, I believed we could still steal the 3 points. But there's more to be done, and I'll need to fix this. Despite the rocky performance, Ferguson reserved praise for Desires, whose tireless work ethic has made him a standout figure at Ibrox. He's been incredible to work with, Ferguson remarked, acknowledging Desairs' persistence despite the odds. The Nigerian striker's 93rd minute goal capped off his remarkable season with 23 goals to his name. Yet even as he celebrated, doubts about his future loomed large. With rumors swirling about his departure, the future of Desairs remains uncertain. His performance this season, however, has been one of the few bright spots in a campaign full of turmoil. His name has been linked with moves to MLS and Serie A, leaving many to wonder whether this victory could be one of his final moments in a Rangers shirt. Could this be the end of Desairs' spell at Ibrox despite his undeniable contributions to the team? The club's pursuit of a more clinical striker could signal the beginning of a new chapter, one that may not include the man who has been their beacon of hope in a challenging season. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.